Paul Colston, International Confex. With me in our studio is John Noonan, Group Managing Director at Thorns. Thanks for coming along, John. And I see your stand's been really busy today with your new products, which we'll come on to. But I just wanted to ask you straight away, how you came into the events industry. What was your pathway, from a young man? How did it?
Probably a little bit unconventional, actually. So at university, I was at university in Leeds, and used to go out quite a lot, as you did at uni. And every time I went out, I brought some people with me. And then before you know it, I'm promoting nightclubs in Leeds. And then we grew that from one night a week up to 15 nights a week across 15 cities. So scaled it across the whole of the UK. And then that led into festivals and live music. So doing large scale festivals for like gate crashing, people like that. So Paul Van Dyke, Tiesto, Chemical Brothers, those type of events. Sort of those real lifestyle events.
And were you studying events management or anything to do with hospitality?
Sports science.
Sports science, right? Yeah.
And I wasn't very sporty.
Loosely connected.
Very loosely. I was very good at drinking. And then from there went into a sort of more corporate function around setting up sales and marketing functions within the on-trade, so restaurants and bars in London. And then took a step out of that into furniture, actually, into Thorns Group. And then stepped away from Thorns Group for a while, and then came back to it many years later, 7 years later, and ended up buying it with Monty.
Well, let's rewind a bit. Thorns Group. So you're in Northamptonshire, yeah?
Yes. So Kettering.
Kettering. Yeah. So John, tell me about Thorns Group. Your involvement there, before the buyout.
Yeah. So I was the sales and commercial director for Thorns Group, and then COVID happens, which I think we all know was a catastrophic event for the event industry, and it was during that process that I bought it. So
was that in fact saving the company? I mean, was it the choice of Stark one? Very brave move, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was at the point where everyone was saying events weren't coming back, and we put the house on the line, myself and my wife, and went for it with a firmly held belief that people meeting people would come back, and that these live events would come back. I mean, it was everything really. But it was a belief in the event industry would come back.
Yes. And how many staff do you have there now?
So we flex in busy up to 300. Full-time staff is 50. But in the busy periods, we flex up to 300. A fairly comprehensive operation.
And you certainly carry a load of stock. I remember coming up to last year to have a look around, and I was just staggered by how much you have there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got in total about 200,000 square foot in the UK.
You're a little bit of a sort of secret boffin though. I know that you invited me up to show me your plans for minus 45 dB.
Yeah.
And you're a perfectionist. I understood that straight away. Wonderful product, but you certainly must have put a few hours into that, designing it.
Yeah, there's been. I mean, it's the product that we've got now, version 37 on the market and version 41 in development. I mean, that's been 6-7 years of constant development and listening to organisers, event organisers, production directors. Like key people, understanding what they require.
And just to remind, tell us what the product is for those who don't know.
Good idea. It's a sound-reduced modular theatre system for meetings and events.
Yes.
So it's anything from a 2.4 metre by 2.4 metre translation booth or podcast room, all the way up to a 25 metre by 11 metre meeting room. So that is 500 people in a room, sound-reduced, clear span with air conditioning, branding, full turnkey solution.
And you've already had take-up from the government?
So over the summer we delivered the European Political Conference at Blenheim Palace. Had every single European leader. Keir Starmer's first event as Prime Minister. Delivered for Identity Group, so a massive agency globally. And the appetite since then has just been, I mean, it's exponential growth.
So the room keeps the secrets in as well as the noise.
Absolutely.
Noise out.
We weren't allowed to bug them either, so I can't even tell what was going on.
And obviously they must be satisfied with that.
Absolutely.
So how's the order book looking since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's It's overwhelming to a certain extent because we are a year into this journey. Obviously, Thorns Group's a very well established business. Been around 75 years. Obviously, I bought it 5 years ago, but we developed it massively. This is a year in, so we launched a Confex last year, if you remember, and since then it's been, we're talking to agency-wise, Identity Group, Ray Leno, like all of the biggest agencies in the world. The events that we've delivered have been Conservative Party Conference, EPC at Blenheim Palace, NHS Confederation, as well as AWS for Amazon, etc., etc. So those corporate, big-scale events, I mean, the appetite is unbelievable.
I noticed you took on an international sales manager, and if I'm not preempting what you want to say, are you looking to open maybe in the Middle East, Dubai?
Yeah, so next week I'm over in Dubai. We're setting up legal entities next week. We're launching at the Middle East Event Show, which I know you partnered with over here. So we're launching with that in the Middle East in June. With likely to be in Saudi by the end of the year.
And what made you choose that as your next step abroad rather than, let's say, America, Asia?
I think the proximity, the growth, particularly in Saudi, is unbelievable. I mean, it's exponential. Dubai as a market or UAE as a market, Abu Dhabi, Dubai is in significant growth, but that Saudi market is unbelievable, like anything you've ever seen. All you need to look at is events that are coming in, the World Cups and all those type of things. The businesses that are out there, operating out there, it's a massive growth market. And I think operational delivery-wise, compared to the States, obviously easier to take that step into UAE, Saudi, than it is necessarily across 50 states of America.
And I guess you might be a bit reticent about going to China with the patent issues, etc.
I've spoken to one agency in China, and the first question they asked me was, have you got a patent on this? So I'm a little, and the answer to that is yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. The answer to that is yes. We've got global patents pending. We think we'll have patent granted in the next couple of months, which is fantastic for UK. And then what falls out of that is the global patents right at the back of that.
And what would you say to other companies going down the route of opening a patent? Is it difficult? Is it jump through a lot of hoops?
I mean, it's time consuming, very costly, and I suppose if you've got something which is IP, so intellectual property, that you want to take to a global market, then I would say that you're probably wise to give yourself as much protection as possible. Particularly if you're looking at not necessarily growing it yourself, but maybe looking at some sort of form of acquisition or JV, franchise, license agreements, that type of thing. Gives you that added level of protection to be able to.
Have you looked at the franchise option maybe for the States or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're in discussions with various companies globally about what this looks like on the global scale. So, and interestingly, this is obviously we're only 12 months into this journey. And the conversations that that are happening with publicly floated companies is quite astounding. So it's quite overwhelming to the sense that this time last year it was completely anonymous. And now we're talking to billion-pound companies about what this might look like.
And to be clear, it's more than just a brand on your logo on your shirt. There, it's a separate company, but within the Thorns portfolio. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So Thorns Group is a trading company. -45 is a separate company, separate legal entities, completely separate business. The support structure that we managed to offer -45 within UK and Europe, because of the operational delivery that we have with Thorns Group, really supports -45. And not only in that operational delivery, but the confidence, which is key. That if we're speaking to organisers, that they know that we deliver across Europe, we deliver across the UK, we operate at a certain level, and to give that confidence to the organisers is an added way. So it's not a startup, it's the confidence of seeing the regular faces that deliver their shows every single week, knowing that when our production manager turns up on site, they know it's going to get delivered. And particularly with the level that we're talking, with they aren't cheap. It's you need that confidence that it's going to get delivered.
And today at the show, John, there's been plenty of talks in the theatres about the sustainability.
Absolutely.
And of course, some would say it's maybe an Achilles heel of our industry that we have to go above and beyond to show what we're doing on that. From what I saw on my visit, to your warehouse, you seem to be very active in that area, both with how you manage your lorries and deliveries, as well as the materials which your furniture is made of. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we interacted with Green Circle Solutions with David Humphreys a couple of years ago, and I think we all know that the most sustainable event is not to do the event.
Yeah.
So if you take that as a benchmark and then you think about the supply chain, we're all on this journey of being sustainable. And if I look at both companies, so if I look at Thorns Group, the way that we manage, it's all about logistics for us because we put lorries on the road.
Yes.
We can't get away from that.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge that and then identify what we can do. So what we're doing internally is what product lines can we utilise and how can we best utilise that product? So we've got vision benches, for instance.
Yeah.
Historically, we were able to fit 4 on a pallet. We reworked with the design and we can now fit 35 on a pallet. Wow. So it reduces the footprint of cubic feet on a lorry, which means we get more stock onto the lorry, which means there's less lorries on the road. When you talk about minus 45 dB as a business, we did a study with regards to the delivery of the European Political Conference last year versus this year, and we worked with Green Circle Solutions to make sure it was obviously audited, and it's come out that we're 80% more sustainable as a solution versus the other, which is a build and burn fundamentally. A bespoke build or a bespoke build from a scenic company versus our solution. Not only do we get the sound reduce benefit, but it's a far more sustainable solution. And I think we've got to take it seriously, acknowledging that we can't get to zero, but we can do as much individually to collectively appreciate that we need to do better.
Now, I touched on before, John, that from my perspective, you seem a bit of a perfectionist. I'm sure that some of your staff would prefer to keep you out of the laboratory. But what other ideas are crawling around inside that creative brain of yours? Can we expect any new launches coming up? Are you locking away in the evenings and cooking up some new stuff?
So already we will be 2-tier in due course. We will be reception on the roof for minus 45 dB. We'll have an outdoor solution this year so that we'll have sound reduced spaces in an outdoor solution, so window waterproof. Just working on all of the wind calculations and all of that now, as well as we've launched the window panels this year at Confex. I mean, I think the exciting thing about the product is there's so many routes for it, and every time we speak to people, they say, "Oh, can it do this?" It's like, it can't at the moment, but it will. So we've got a whole back catalogue of things that we're developing, which is really exciting. I think as an IP-led product, to be able to continually push that envelope of what's possible.
It's a great thing about face-to-face that you hear the feedback and you 100%. Can incorporate it. How have you found the footfall at the show today?
Well, I think overall this show has been, not only last year, but this year as well, has been absolutely fantastic. And I think for us particularly, that it's very easy. For the last 15 years, people have been saying, we've got a soundproof theatre, we've got a soundproof room. And I think it's got to the point where people don't believe it, fundamentally. And the way to cut through that is to get people into it. And to get the event industry into this show over 2 days does us the world of good, because it gets people to see the physical product, touch it, feel it, engage with it, actually walk out and go, it is actually quite good. And that for us is like, you can buy it, and we buy it from you guys at the show, but it's fantastic to have so many people. I mean, it's a busy show, as you can see, people walk past all the time. I think if you've got something innovative, I think it really stands out.
I mean, you've obviously got a great premium product there. What kind of financial plans can you offer people who might, balk at a big outlay? How can you help them to rent it? Maybe are there options?
We're constantly looking. So our market advantage. So first market advantage will dwell, because other people will come into this market. Absolutely. So what we're constantly looking at is cost-effective solutions for clients. So this isn't a solution for everybody, and we don't hide from that. We don't shy away from that. But what we are trying to identify is solutions to allow it to be more cost-effective for certain people. So whether that is a different approach towards the way that we can change the walls internally, instead of it being completely graphic, that we can offer a solution which is a reusable solution to reduce the cost. We're always willing to work with people as well. We're here to. We want this to be out there. We want people to use it, engage with it. And so, we're always here to work with people's budgets. And as long as they work with us on it, and it's not a shell scheme solution, but it doesn't have to be out of everybody's budget. It won't be in everybody's, but we'll work with people to make it affordable And that comes down to volume, quantity, number of shows, that type of thing.
It's all great to hear, John. Thanks for your time. But before I let you go, tell me, when you're a punter at a show, what would be, hobby-wise, your ideal trade show to visit?
So interestingly, I've really got into running. So, and funnily enough, in lockdown, obviously it was quite draining for obvious reasons for everybody. And I got really into running there. So I ran 3,000 miles in lockdown. It was almost a bit like Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So I used to have short hair.
Yeah.
And then I said that I wasn't going to cut my hair until we got back on the exhibition floor. So it was rather long, really scraggly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, actually, I quite like my long hair, so I can't cut it now. So I ran an awful lot, and I've just maintained that. So we've actually just tied in with Raccoon Media, are just launching a new show, a charity event, which is a 24-hour run.
They're here today,
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And really interesting concept, actually. So we're getting behind that event. But I'm really into running. So, gives me a bit of headspace. I do it first thing in the morning, out at 4:45 in the morning, out for a 10K.
And I thought the hair was because you're part of a heavy metal group and you developed the sound room to get away from it.
I can't sing.
Okay, well, run, Forrest, run.
Yeah,
good luck, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.